Thank you for watching. Our next guest is the founder of Wellesley Insurance Agency. His prescription for you is that we all need insurance, and he's here to tell us why. Please help me welcome Desmond Wellesley. Desmond.
Yes.
How are you doing today, man?
I'm excellent. I'm
happy to have you on our show.
I'm happy to be here.
We want to know your story. Who are you? So let's start from the beginning.
So I'm the youngest of 4 kids. My parents are Jamaican. I was raised in Kitchener, Ontario, so Canada is really all I know. But of course, the Jamaican upbringing and the food and the culture and the music and the energy and the spice for life,
it follows you everywhere too.
I have a really good relationship with my parents, and I talk to them often, and there's always a laugh or a joke. But the one thing that stands out about my childhood is that they were both micromanagers.
Okay.
They would not put up with, they had no patience for slackness. And
As we would call it in Jamaica.
Yes, and I know you know what that is, but for the benefit of everybody else, slackness is laziness or giving something a half-hearted effort. That upbringing and that constant, looking over your shoulder, and you have to do this right and you have to do that right, that kind of made me a really picky, particular person, which translates well into the profession that I chose, because you worry about the details. I always have to think about the details, like one little thing couldn't be out of place or wrong. And that's actually perfect for being in the insurance world, because the details matter.
Tell us about your education.
It took me a little while to kind of find my niche. I used to draw a lot. I was a good artist. I thought I wanted to be a cartoonist or maybe an architect or something along those lines, something where you could just create and put pencil to paper. I ended up working in restaurants for about 8 or 9 years. I was in my late 20s. I wasn't in school anymore. I was still living with my parents. And the one day I was in the change room and I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror. My face was all greasy from working in the kitchen. I had food stains on my shirt and on my apron. My jeans had, barbecue sauce or whatever on it. Yeah. And I looked at myself in the mirror and I actually started to cry. I kind of had an epiphany in that moment. Yes. And I'm talking to myself in the mirror and I'm saying, Desi, what are you doing? Like, you should be doing more than this. And not that there's anything wrong with working in the kitchen, if that's, what feeds you, if that's what feeds your spirit. If you enjoy cooking, then keep on doing it. But it wasn't for me. I had no plans to be a chef. I had no plans to own a restaurant. So for me, it was a dead-end job. And the very next day, I went to a temp agency. And at the time in Kitchener, there were 2 major insurance companies that had their head offices in Kitchener. So I went into this temp agency and I said, I want to work at one of these 2 insurance companies. They asked me, what do you want to do? I said, it doesn't matter. I want to get into one of those companies. Just get me in and I'll go from there. And that's what happened. I started working in the mailroom at Manulife. And that was a 6-week placement. So I made sure, I knew I felt that was my one shot to kind of make an impression. I wanted to make sure that people knew me, remembered me. I asked lots of questions. I started taking coffee breaks with the supervisors, trying to get to know them a little bit, wanted them to remember me. And they did, so I got called back to work in a call center. And I guess long story short, since then I've worked at a number of different insurance companies. I've worked for brokers, consultants. I was a financial advisor 15 years ago, and now here I am today, owning my own business. Yeah.
Why insurance?
My introduction to insurance was when I was about 20 years old, and my dad came to me, and he said, you need life insurance. And I was kind of taken aback by that, and I said, well, why? And his response wasn't very diplomatic. He said, well, it costs money to bury somebody. So if you die, what do you think we're going to do? Bury you in the backyard? So he said, you need life insurance. He didn't refer me to anybody. He didn't tell me who to call or anything. He just left that on my plate.
It worked. It worked. Very effective. You started working in the insurance company and you find yourself progressing in it, moving from one location to the next.
Yes.
And I figure you were advancing in the company as well.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
One thing that I definitely like is being in front of people. I like presenting. It doesn't make me nervous to speak in public, so I enjoy speaking in front of 100 people and being the subject matter expert and getting lots of questions and being able to, for the most part, answer all of the questions. I kind of was a natural fit for an account manager role, which is selling group benefits and also having to conduct seminars and meetings and produce reports and then go over the report with the client. I really enjoy that kind of thing.
What led you to start your own business?
Well, actually, back in before the lockdown started, so the pandemic was in the beginning stages. The lockdown didn't start as yet, and our daughter was coming up to being 18 months old. My wife's mat leave was coming to an end. One of us wanted to be there and raise our child. You know, it was difficult, but I decided to leave my previous role and start, working in the most important job of my life, which is being a dad. And at that point, I was a few steps away from being licensed. So really, I just had to. It was just a couple more phone calls to complete my licensing. But I already had the experience, I already had the passion and the desire, so it just kind of seemed like a natural step. So then I could still be a full-time dad and stay at home and start a company and be able to work part-time-ish during the week and full-time on the weekends, and you just have to be creative. We're trying to balance everything.
Awesome.
But my daughter has a full-time parent at home, which happens to be me right now.
Wonderful. All right. What kind of services do you offer in your business?
I'm a broker, so I connect people, clients to the products that various insurance companies. For the most part, it's life insurance, personal life insurance. I also deal with an area that's called living benefits, which is a benefit where nobody has to pass away in order for you to get a lump sum payment, which is disability insurance, critical illness, not home insurance where if your home burns to the ground then the bank still gets their money. It's life insurance on your mortgage, so that if somebody who owns the home, say if there's multiple people that own the home, if one of those homeowners passes away, then a lump sum of money would be paid to the surviving family member, and they can do whatever they want with that money. So that's a better option than getting insurance directly through the bank. Because if you get life insurance on your mortgage directly through the bank and somebody passes away, sure, you'll be mortgage free, but the bank pays themselves.
And then home insurance would be if anything happened to the house.
Yes. And that's a requirement that the bank has to have that type of coverage. The life insurance is optional. The bank will make it seem like it's just a formality, but if I'm speaking with anybody, I would suggest to not take it through the bank and see about getting something outside of it, just do personal life insurance.
All right. Who needs insurance?
I would say everybody. all Canadians need life insurance. There's two main reasons why the average Canadian needs life insurance. The first being Canadians are heavily indebted, for the most part. The average Canadian spends 170% of their disposable income each month. The second being, not as many people live in one household as they used to. These days, they say 2.5 people on average live in one household. 100 years ago, it was 6 or 7 people would live in the same household. And the only reason I mention that is because if one of those 3 people today, say a wage earner or a parent, passes away, then you may have, financial concerns, financial hardships for the surviving family members. Whereas, say 100 years ago, if there were 7, 8, maybe even 9 people living in a household with, 3 generations, if a grandparent or a parent had passed away back then, it was not as challenging for the other adults in the household to be able to step up to help out with child minding or earning wages to keep the family in the same lifestyle.
When would you recommend people to get insurance? Because what I've observed is this: most people try to get insurance when it's, I guess, a little bit too late.
for life insurance specifically, or any type of benefits, it is better to start younger because it makes financial sense because the premiums are cheaper. Your money goes farther if you're younger when you start. I would say it's never too late, but it certainly does make financial sense to start that process sooner rather than later. And just like anything else, just like saving money for your retirement, it's better to start when you're 25 rather than when you're 55 if you're planning to retire at 65. I always look at it as if I had passed away yesterday, and I feel comfortable saying that because I didn't die yesterday. You don't have to worry about any jinxes or anything. But if I had died yesterday, what would my wife be doing today? She would have a mortgage to pay. She would have an adult child that she, would probably help with living expenses because maybe they would both need to take time off work. We have a small child, a 2-year-old. I want my wife to have a nest egg to put away for her future education. And also, I want my wife to have financial options. I don't want her to be in a position where she would have to sell our home because she can no longer afford it. I want her to have options. And the only way I can make sure that happens is by putting those programs into place while I'm still alive. I certainly don't expect anything to happen to me, but there's always the if that you have to think about.
How affordable is insurance?
That is a good question. It varies so greatly. In general, insurance is affordable. What I try to do is make it affordable as well. So if I'm making a recommendation for somebody, first we look at how much you actually need based on what kind of debts you have, based on your income, based on how many family members you have to take care of. So we look at what you actually need, but then we also look at another option if you think that's too much to spend.
For people who are thinking about starting up a business as an insurance broker, what's the process?
You need to see the operation from the ground up to just get a really good grasp of what it is that you're promoting or selling or recommending. You do have to be licensed. So there is a test that you have to pass. In order to pass that test, you would have to it's a combination of lived experience plus studying. So really, the biggest hurdle or obstacle would be to have a passion for what you're doing and what you're selling. That could apply to insurance or any other industry.
All right, some good information there. Now, you're working from home, a full-time dad.
Yes.
Yes, and you're running a business.
Yes.
How do you find work-life balance in an environment like this?
It has proven to be a challenge. And people are really understanding. If a little cute 2-year-old shows up on a Zoom call, nobody minds. I have to keep her outside for a long time.
Yeah.
We go to different parks and little cart ride, and the fresh air seems to knock her out.
Yes, of course.
Once she's gone to bed, then I can work on a financial plan for a client and really think about what I want to suggest and what type of insurance and how much they should have.
What kind of support system do you find in your business?
I have a good working relationship with the insurance companies that I deal with. I'm affiliated with 22 different insurance companies. I suppose I should mention that I also have a sponsor. Because with insurance specifically, if you haven't been in business for at least 5 years, you need an agency to sponsor you.
What's next for you? Where do you go from there?
The goal I've set for myself is within the next year, or by the end of this year, I'm hoping to have 1 employee. I want to be talking to enough people, serving enough people that necessitates for an administrator, because then that simply means that there are many people out there who are getting the services that they really need. So I am hoping in 5 years that I have more of a footprint in the market.
Are you part of any organizations, and what kind of representations do you next?
I am the Black Business Association of BC. So I did join them recently in order to get some more exposure, and also so I could pinpoint the other Black businesses in BC. So also give them some exposure and some kind of free marketing as well. And in fact, that's the way I found out about your program. So it's
It's
working. Yeah, it's working already.
Are you looking for like partnerships? How can people support you, whether they want to do business with you or want to be a client for you?
Well, to contact me, go to wellesleyinsuranceagency.com. If you have any questions, I'm not saying that you necessarily want to purchase something, but if you have questions, concerns, I don't charge anything for consultation. There's no consultation fees. If somebody wants me to have a conversation with them or to do a bit more work and produce a report, I mean, it is free. It's information. Once you get that information, you can choose whatever you want to do with that. You can either put something into place or ignore it or recycle it. But I think the most important part is you need that information so you'll be able to make a decision. So pretty much the client's decision that's what we're going to go with. Whether or not it doesn't match my recommendation, that's what we're always going to go with. But at the very least, I would suggest that you have me or someone like me look into it to give their analysis and let you know what you need to put into place.
We have learned a lot about insurance and of its importance. Thank you for sharing. I'm so happy to have you on this program.
Well, happy to be here. Thanks for giving me the time to try to say a little bit about it.
Thanks for watching. Again, share your comments on today's episode. Also follow us on YouTube. Like, share, comment. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Hi, I am Desmond Wellesley, President and Founder of Wellesley Insurance Agency, and you are watching Profile.